This is part two from the video from yesterday, and yeah, I'm gonna go ahead because y'all was just loving it. So let's go ahead and continue.
Because you have women who are saying, I don't want to date a guy who earns less than me. And you might think, okay, well, the data hasn't caught up with the dating. If more women are in higher education and more women are earning more, then maybe you're going to be the one who earns more in your relationship. But
That is a fact because, again, like I said before, the economy is what dictates the dynamics of relationships. Again, example 1960, we had a nuclear family structure. The reason why it was like that is because most of the factories and most of the businesses that was established after the Industrial Revolution was hiring manpower. So while the men were being um, put into the factories, into the cities, and they were leaving their small towns and they were traveling to get their money, a lot of the women were staying at home, and this is what brought up those cities in that time period. In this new time period, most of the economy is dictated by content and from visuals. It's from the tech, social media, it's from computers and the devices. So it's all a lot of visual aesthetics. Visually, women dominate that. They're more organized. They are better to look at. Women and men prefer looking at women before they look at men. It's that's just the game. It just is what it is. So let's let her continue.
what they feel like is projecting out, I'm going to end up doing most of the housework, most of the childcare. I might as well get a guy that can contribute financially.
And that is the problem because the dynamics of the economy is shifting. Not as well as to forget that universal level things are shifting as well, and it's going back to more of a matriarchal society that's in tune with the feminine universe, feminine planet, Mother Nature. These are the laws of the land. Men have to also step up on the other sides because they're not being checked for when it comes to finances. Unless you just doing the most and you are not going with the social programming or the social engineering of the structure. If you're not dependent on the system as far as like integrating into corporate America, or you're doing your own thing, entrepreneur, like you getting your own bag, then it's different. But even then, you still should help with the household because it's just about being adults. If you make a mess, clean up after yourself. If children make a mess, help the children clean up after themselves and instill into the children to clean up after yourself. Therefore, the mother wouldn't have to just be, doing all of the housework. And it's still what happened because children have a tendency to mom, 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 mom all day. Even if the dad is right there, like they will bypass the dad and the father and go straight to the mom because 9 times out of 10 the mother will respond differently than the father will. Like children know exactly what and how to ask things to their parents. They know who will give in and who won't. And if the mom is more lenient, like how most mothers are, they give in, then the children will ask the mother the same question that they know the father will give a no to. But yeah, man, you gotta definitely get in the game on that part. But then also too, like women have to know just because you make more, that don't mean that you are like you that does not put you in the same situation as or the same position as a man. Like it's not the same thing because the money doesn't determine anything as far as the gender roles and how on an organic level we respond to each other. The money doesn't do anything. The money is just an extension or is just a tool for trade. That's all the money is. That's literally what it is.
So they don't want to change their expectations around that. And so I think we truly are in a moment where women are being asked to do more masculine things and
Bingo.
men are being asked to do more feminine things.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You should be balanced. You should be balanced. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are skilled, you should just have skills. Everybody, if it's work to be done, do the work. It doesn't matter who does the work, just get the work done. But the person who's better equipped to do the work should focus on that task. Now, it doesn't mean let that person do everything, But the person who is better equipped to do the work should do that work. And if you are not the person who's better equipped to do the work, then you should contribute and help the person or take a load off in the other areas. Because one person can't do everything and you need a team. That's just the is what it is.
things.
That's also what make the why in the ancient cultures why polygamy was more associated with matriarchal societies, because you had the way women operate. You give them a task, they can do the task flawlessly, but they don't have the structure. They have to be given the task. Men create the task, like usually in this new paradigm. But yeah, let's let her go.
And I think a lot of that is progress, but it also seems to be creating a lot of confusion in the dating world.
Facts.
Yeah, it's sort of, I was just thinking, I coach a lot of young men, and occasionally women ask me for dating advice, and you coach, it sounds like a lot of both. And first thing I say to men is I ask them, like, would you want to have sex with you?
That's a good question. He laughing, but that's a good question. Real shit. Would you? And not like as far as just like on no homo pause, but as far as like, do you feel like you are a good choice as far as breeding passion on? Because I'm not talking about just a pleasure, like getting an orgasm or anything like that. I'm talking about like real talk genetics. If you were passing on your DNA for the next line, the next generation, do you feel you are at a good place where if you passed on your genetics to your lineage, will they be able to dominate or be properly equipped for the environment based on your current level of genetics, on your current skills and everything that you excel at? Let's let Bald Man cook.
All right. Are you in shape? What do you look like naked?
Are you in shape?
Do you have a plan? You don't have to be rich now, but do you have a plan?
Do you have a plan? Not for your life, for your life. Like, what do you want to accomplish? Like, what are you going to give to the world? What is your purpose?
Right. Have you found means of being confident?
Are you confident in what you do?
Can you demonstrate kindness and excellence across anything?
Are you kind? Empathy? Or do you have emotional intelligence and emotional control? Can you extend it to other people?
And the only advice I give women is second coffee.
And yeah, I'm not going to say that. For women, I'm going to say the same exact thing, like, because it is a game of genetics. One set of genetics is good. It will raise up the pool. But if both sets of genetics is good, then it's really raising up. Everybody has to do the work. It's not a gender thing. Everybody has to do the work. However, if the man does the work, 9 times out of 10, he sets the foundation and the structure for the woman. So the work that he's doing on himself, not only on an esoteric level does that energy convert or transfer into her during sex or spiritual energy exchange, or from genetics when she gets pregnant to create that baby, that vessel. She's taking on his DNA and his skills and his attributes, his characteristics to create that child. So whatever the man pours into himself will be poured into the woman, and the woman pour into the children. The children pour it into the future, and the future creates a better world. It's all goes together.
Matters. Maybe it wasn't great. I mean, if you don't like the guy and you're just like turned off, fine. But if it was just okay, maybe give it a second coffee.
I have a chapter in my book called Make the Second Date the Default.
Yeah.
And it's really because I feel like I won the lottery with my husband, but he is somebody that takes longer to open up, and he's this slow burn. We met in college, we met again 7 years later, then we were friends for a year, and I feel like he's
Now you see how her journey was. She had prior experience with him. They already had a rapport built up. Some time passed, she met again. So the interaction led to, okay, man, look, time has passed. Let's see what's going on. Then she said they were friends for a year, built up a lot more rapport, a lot of conversations, a lot of connecting, a lot of getting to know each other before moving on.
this incredible partner, husband, father, but I don't know that if we'd met just randomly on the first date that I would have gone on the second date.
Bingo.
And so I think people really do need to train themselves to look for these slow burns.
But look for red flags as well. Don't be so hyped and so juiced on somebody that you just like ready to do it all, like in instantaneous. because most times, especially right now, when people initially meet, people come wearing masks. So you have to be very skilled to ask leading questions and know how to see behind the mask, or know how to ask the right questions to get the mask pulled down.
Logan, Scott said something there about what he thinks women want, which is these sort of
Yeah.
traditional masculine features. Is this what you see in the data?
What's hard is I think Scott's right about what people say they want versus so stated versus revealed.
I'm gonna also say, just to piggyback before she gets started, people say that they want one thing, but their actions, their reality, and the way they move may be completely different. You can want something and it not be you not be ready for it, or you could want something and it's not be for you. Does it want you as well? You got to ask yourself: are you ready for it? Are you in a position to get what you want?
Preferences. So, according to the research that I did, women are saying the number one thing that they're looking for is kindness and compassion. That's also what men
That's deep.
are saying that they're looking for. So,
That's very deep. Consider that the world we're in right now, a lot of people are not kind or compassionate towards each other. So if that's the number one thing, we have a lot of work to do.
in many ways, this is great. People are looking for the same things, but I just feel like there's these huge disconnects now where people don't feel like they can get what they want.
Men are saying they want kindness and compassion.
I made them say, what are all the things that you care about? And then what is the number one thing that you care about? And kindness and compassion was first for both of them.
That's
The
deep.
stuff I've seen or the stuff I've read is that for women, and I've talked to men about this, number one is they have to signal resources.
Facts.
And we don't like to say it out loud.
Now that's very accurate. I don't know about kindness and whatever she said, but compassion. But yeah, this is very, very true
And by the way,
because it's in nature.
it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a Range Rover and a Panerai now, but you have a plan, right? You have your shit together. You go home at midnight when everyone's partying because you have to be up for work.
Bingo.
You work out, which shows a level of discipline and that you can commit to something.
Bingo.
You're in school. You've got a good job. This person is going to have resources. And I don't think that's changed a whole lot. I think
It's the thing that's changed is the economy and the social trends. The economy and the financial stress that the world is dealing with makes it harder to get yourself in a position for those things. The social trends, a lot of people are throwing in the towel because of, they don't want to deal with the pressure, or they don't feel like they have to, And a lot of, I heard this term, I think she mentioned it as well. It was called red pilling. Like, a lot of people are opting out of society and they're opting out of playing the game of life, And it's like, hey, if you choose to do that, then yeah, but,
a man's ability to signal future resources has gone down. I'm not sure it's become any less of a criteria. Number two is intellect. And it's very instinctual because if you make good decisions for the tribe, your kids are more likely to survive.
Bingo.
Someone who's smart is more likely to take care of your offspring than someone who's stupid. What's interesting, I love this, is the fastest way to communicate intellect is humor. And I joke, and this is bad, but I say, this is my impression of a woman. I'm
Bingo.
laughing, I'm naked. And that is, I've always thought if a guy can make a woman laugh,
Yeah.
she will date him. And then
To a degree, this is true. It ain't gonna be enough to just get you in the door, but it's a good way to warm up.
the third thing, and this is where guys screw up. This is what I tell a guy's secret weapon is. It's kindness. Women want to see that you are a
That's debatable, depending on your environment and depending on how you actually display kindness and what your interpretation of kindness is.
good person. You treat service staff well. You're good to your parents.
Yeah.
You have manners. You treat people well, even with no reciprocal expectation.
That's true.
Because they know that a kind person, if and when she's vulnerable and needs help, and maybe isn't bringing as much to the table for certain periods of time, that this is a kind man. And sure, you want to do your best to seek resources and have a plan. Sure, maybe you're smart, maybe you aren't. There's not a lot you can do there. But the secret weapon, I think, for men that they don't leverage, and I do think it's a practice, is to demonstrate kindness. And we don't.
Bingo. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up on this one. We're gonna go to another one right now to piggyback off of this. I ain't forget, y'all. The voice lawyer reveals shocking marriage truths. Now, we just heard this conversation about you know, what people are looking for before they initiate the relationship. But let's see what this guy talking about. I played the clip yesterday in the beginning. Y'all liked it. Let's see.
That happy wife, happy life phrase, there must be a reason why it became cliche,
Happy wife, happy life. Is it cliche?
why it became popular.
Well, it became popular because I think so many people were willing to accept the unbelievably ridiculous model of relationships that's led us to a 56% divorce rate
This is true.
and probably another 20 or 30% staying together unbelievably miserable but not wanting
This is true.
to give up half their stuff. So yeah, like every misery loves company. Like everybody is sitting around going like, well, listen, women are like that. You got to spend 90 minutes with them. Happy wife, happy life. Like,
Yeah, no, that's not true. If you do that, you are going to spiral. Don't do that. Happy spouse, happy house. If everybody is happy, everything is good. If one person is happy, that other person is going to be draining the happiness from the one person. So everybody has to be happy. It doesn't work if only one person is happy.
and I just don't accept that. I don't accept that it has to be awful.
Why is
Facts.
it not happy husband, happy wife, though?
Well, in reality, it is. I think in reality,
reality it is, but
it's
that's
happy
Pay attention to what he's about to say because he's going to give a good breakdown.
husband and happy wife equals happy marriage. Like,
But why did it come into culture that way round?
because I think there's a well, I mean, my personal opinion on this is I think men are probably easier to please in some ways. Like,
Okay.
you know, I think men are either hungry or horny. So like either feed us or have sex with us, and that's kind of we're most of the time pretty happy. Like we're
To a degree, because society and external factors play a part. But as far as for relationships, I feel like in my experience of everyone who I've talked to and my personal experiences with women, I think that some of the things that may, you know, also influence what he's talking about is the way that women speak to men or the way that they require their attention and affection from men while especially if the man doesn't know really how to give attention or affection, or if he is occupied with something else, then that may not be all the way true.
we're not, you know, like which curtains should we pick out for the house? Like we're not that caught up in that. I don't know a lot of guys caught up in that. Like when it came to weddings, like most of the guys I know weren't when they were young men going like, what is my
Now, also, too, you got to keep in mind generations is different. He said when he was a young man, this dude is around maybe I'd say like high 50s, 60s. So his generation, the world that he grew up in, the social dynamics and program that they had is not the same as what a lot of people who are in their 20s and 30s right now are dealing with when it comes to the reality of the environment. It's not the same world. 2020 changed a lot, and it was changing before then. So what flew then may not fly right now.
wedding gonna be like? I can't. Here's what I'm gonna do. Like it was very like, all right, is there a DJ or a band, and what will the bar have? And that's kind of what they were into. And everything else was like, cool, babe, whatever you like. Like I'm excited to see you excited. That's what matters to me.
So men are simple.
I think men are quite simple, yeah. And I think women, and by the way, this is not a criticism of men. It's not a criticism of women. And again, it's a generalization. I understand that. But like women, I think, thank God, women are much more nuanced in my experience. Like they notice more sometimes.
This is true because they are directly tied to the universe and to the system. Again, we're in a feminine universe on a feminine planet with a feminine nature, Mother Nature. So the way that they operate is more compatible with the way this realm operates. So you don't have to. It's hard. They are complex, but once you see the patterns and you know how they operate, and it's never cookie cutter, then everything changes. It becomes a whole lot easier.
They're different things. Like they're
And don't listen to what they say, how they operate, and take it as face value. What they say and what they do may be two completely different things. It's up to you to be able to know the difference.
like I think men and women bring different things to. And again, not every man, not every woman, but. Like, I
Facts.
genuinely believe that we bring different gifts to relationships. And when we embrace that, and by the way, that polarity when we're dating is the greatest thing in the world. But of course, it gets challenging. because this person's not just your sexual partner or romantic partner, they're your roommate. They're your co-parent. They're your travel partner. Share a bathroom with them. Like you got like this is a whole nother thing when you get married. The French
It's bigger than what people think it is. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's big on teammate. You can't do it by yourself, and you can't let your partner do it by themselves, or that's gonna fuck you up.
have a saying that marriage turns a lover into a relative. And the truth is, like, not any of like your lover, you have this sort of it's why affairs are so intoxicating and wonderful, because you just get the best parts. You don't have to pick up this person's socks. You don't have to listen to the fight they got in with their cousin. You don't have to be like, I gotta spend 90 minutes with them. You can actually, you're just getting the good stuff, the passion, the sex, which again, you can have. We can do relationships however we decide we want to do them. That's what's cool about it, is the two people in it is what matters. And I think even before social media, we were very much about, well, how is everybody else doing it? Because I guess that's the right way to do it. And so, yeah, happy wife, happy life was like, listen, just here, like just make her happy, because then she'll shut up and you can just watch football. Like, in it.
Yeah, and that's the reason why the older men's generation was fucking terrible, because that's not what it is. You can't really do that. Like, it don't work like that. Like, you have to, one, if you want to watch football or you have something going on, you need to go ahead and, articulate that early before it even comes to it, so she won't even come interrupt you during that time. But then also, too, a lot of women are into what you're into if it is something that is not too much over their head, or if it's something that they're kind of engaged in. Like, it's so many women that are into sports right now, like, that they probably would dominate the viewing more than a lot of guys, because a lot of guys, and you got a good percentage that's into it, but a lot of guys, they're not into it like how they used to be, because they worried on getting their shit together. So, yeah.
I mean, look, that never appealed to me. That was never interesting to me. I think a lot of people absolutely buy into that model of relationships. What's more interesting to me than people who've just given up, right? People who've just said, like, yeah, I know the hard thing to do and the right thing to do are the same thing, but I'm just going to do the easy thing, because it's like,
The hard thing to do and the right thing to do is usually the same thing. But people do not like hard, and they rarely like right. They'll always do wrong, and they'll always do easy, because wrong is easier usually than doing right.
What's more interesting to me is that I think sometimes people screw up their relationships with completely good intentions. And the example I give in my book about this is sex. I think most people who've been in a long-term relationship will say, yeah, the sex has become kind of predictable. Like, it's become kind of, it's not as novel, And I think that happens for the absolute best of intentions. And it would be really lovely if we just acknowledged that. Because here's why it happens, right? You get with a person, you're first dating, first time you get sexual with the person. You throw every trick you've got at that person, right? You do all the things that you think they're gonna like to see, what are they gonna like, right? Do they like the same stuff that other people like, or do they like something different? Or
That's also the problem, man. Everybody is not the same. A lot of dudes be thinking that, like, a lot of females gonna be on the same hype. No, their bodies are different, so you have to get to know her body individually. Like, what works for one woman may not work for the next, so you got to get to know her bodily and tailor it to her.
they, what do? They like the same things you like, and you throw everything at it. And you start, okay, they don't like that. Okay, this they really like. Oh, they make really nice noises when I do that. Okay, and you start to, and then what do? You start to get more efficient. Like, oh, I know she doesn't like that, so I'm not going to do that. But I know she likes this, so I'm going to do that a whole lot, right? And she does, I hope, the same thing. She does the he loves it when I do this, and the sound that comes out of him when I do that. I said, what do? You play the greatest hits. You play the greatest hits, because why not? And by the way, there's only so many hours in the day. We got some stuff we got to get to. So let's really throw the greatest hits at each other, and we're going to have a great time. Well, what did you just do? You were trying to make each other really happy and be a really good lover to each other, but what did you just do? You just created a routine.
Bingo. And women do not, they don't function well long term with routines. Men, we function well with routines because we like the structure. Women don't, man, that'll lead to boredom. your woman get bored, you're gonna have a problem. You gotta do some shit, spice it up. That just is what it is. Keep her on her toes.
Created a routine. And here's the other thing about humans, which we all know. If we've ever had a sexual partner for more than 6 months, then you've noticed the patterns. And by the way, you're thrilled with them because you're doing the greatest hits. Like, I went to see Springsteen to hear Born to Run. That's what I'm there to see. Like, I love it. Do the greatest hits. But then if they do something different, there is some part of you that goes, what was that? Where did that come from? We don't usually do that, or we don't do it in that order. And by the way, sometimes that's exciting, right? Sometimes it's like, yeah, let's have sex in the laundry room. What? We got a bed right over there. Yeah, we always do it over there. Do it in the laundry room. Like, I don't know. That's fun, right? It's fun to do something different. Well, we get to a place where now when we do something different, we start to feel like we're going to have a conversation about it. Because it's like, well, why did you do that? That's strange. Or it's, sometimes people go, why did they do that different thing? Are they like, is it they're watching porn? Are they cheating on me? Where did they get that idea from? Is that something that they want? Do they want to start doing that? Is that part of the greatest hits and I didn't realize it? Do they not like what I've been doing? And we start to sabotage, again, with good intentions from day one. All you wanted was to make your partner happy and they wanted to make you happy, and look what you did. You made a routine. So the only way out of that spiral is to talk about it, call it out. To say, hey, it feels like things are kind of we're in a, is there anything I could do different or you might want different? And I think there's lots of ways to have that conversation.
How do we not have that conversation? Like, what's the worst way to have that conversation?
The worst way to have that conversation is say, how come you don't do this anymore? You used to do it all the time. Or, why won't you ever let me this? Or why don't you ever try that? That's the worst way to do it. Blame, and also it's on you. Yeah, why did you do it? Or also that it's like, because immediately the person's reaction to that is going to be, well, here's why. Because of this. Well, because you this. Well, how come you never do this? Like, and it turns into that. And I think there's a million other ways to do it, all of which are better. The best one, in my opinion, but I'm a lawyer and I'm dishonest a lot of the time, is manipulation. I think that there's very positive, I manipulate people's emotional state for a living, right? Like, that's my job, is to make the other side scared, my client feel safe, the judge feel good about my client, bad about the other side. So like, I try to use my powers for good. And I think here's a great way to use that power for good. I think if there's something going on in bed that you want to try or do, and you don't want to have the clinical conversation, like you don't want to call an audible in the middle of sex and just start doing something different and have your partner go, what the heck was that? I think a great one is, oh my God, the dream I had about you last night. Whew.
I ain't gonna lie, that's a fact. That worked for a lot of stuff. That's a gem. He giving y'all a gem for real. Even like when you getting to know somebody and you really like, man, you trying to y'all in the early stages, but you want to lock them down. I ain't saying tell a fib, but hey,
just you don't even want to know. Wait, what? What was the dream? What was the dream that you had? No, I don't know. It's because I had dairy before bed or something. I don't know. I had the dirtiest dream about you. You tell me what human being, male, female, gay, straight, anybody, isn't going to go, no, for real, what? What was I doing? What were you doing? What was it?
That is a fact. That's a fact. You dropping some gems with that one.
Then you tell them. You tell them the thing that you'd be interested in doing. And they go,
it was you and your brother and...
Okay. If that's something you're looking for, I don't know how to get. I'm very persuasive. I couldn't give you an entry point for that one. But if it's something that you wanted to do, you say, yeah, I had this dream and this is what happened. And your partner may react as,
yeah, that's a catch. Don't say anything that's gonna shoot yourself in the foot, or your career is gonna be over.
Oh, really? Like, you would like that? And then you can go, yeah, no, I don't know. It was in my brain, so I don't know. Like, it seemed weird to me too. And then you can back out of it without it being a thing.
Yeah, nah, man. It's gonna be kind of hard to backpedal after you shoot your foot. Yeah.
Or you can go, I don't know, maybe. Because if their reaction is, oh yeah, is that something you'd want to do? I'd be like, I don't know, maybe it is subconsciously. We try it sometime.
How many times do people end up in divorce court because the lights went out in the bedroom?
How many would admit it? Or how many is it really the case? Well, because here's what I'll tell you. I would say a good, at least 80% of the people in it.
80% of what he's saying is that a factor of divorces is from, the bedroom getting dry. You should never let the bedroom get dry. Keep that shit entertaining. But also, you got to know the person who you with. You know, you got to know from the jump. Like, is this a person that I can be with and like act it? Because sometimes you will have people that get together that aren't really compatible on different levels. You know, even when it comes to sexually. If you have somebody that has a high sex drive and they're very sexual, they're very open minded when it comes to, you know, sex, it's going to be hard if the other person is kind of vanilla and has a low sex drive. Even if everything else is like compatible or in sync, that part may make things difficult. So you got to find what is your vibe.
At my office, infidelity was a piece of it. So that tells me that sex is a big piece.
Big piece.
You know, because most people who are in genuinely satisfying sexual relationships with their partner aren't looking to have other sexual relationships.
Because it's hard. Once you've got somebody who like does everything for you, you know, like and can please you in the bed, then I know most men aren't really going to, they're not going to want to like lose that or give that up unless, you know, like it's a default, like as far as their programming, the biological programming. It's different for men than it is for women. Like a man can have everything, and then unless he has like the little head in check all the way, and sometimes there's gonna be a slip up, he still feels some type of way, you know, like for like just off of instinct, animalistic primal instincts, because that is his genetic makeup. But for women, if you're doing everything right, especially in that area, you can be doing everything wrong in every other area and excelling extremely well in that area, and she won't go anywhere. And that's why, like, a lot of females, like they said, it's a funny thing on social media where they talk about like a lot of like broke dudes got the best dick, you know, and like, because I don't know why, you feel me, but apparently, you feel me, like that's a thing. It's a thing. They call it like homosexual or some shit, you know, and women will risk it with that. Also, another thing, you have a lot of women that are in positions with a lot of one percenters, a lot of millionaires, a lot of high status, high profile guys, and they provide so much in the lifestyle for the woman or the women who they're talking to, but that not being able to please them sexually factor, man, she'll be willing to risk it all just for that, which is why it's always more common to hear about like those type of men having issues with their wives, you know, like, and he'll be doing everything, paying for everything, cashing her out. She ain't doing shit, but, you know, like, not even taking care of the children because they off to private school or, you know, like someplace else, a regular school, you know, and then she's at the house, there's not any cooking or cleaning because they got maids and they got chefs. So she bored all day not doing nothing. Yeah, the pool guy probably knocking her back out, you know, like it's the yoga dude stretching her out. This is a common thing. It's a common thing, man.
Some people are just addicted to sex, though.
Facts.
And I say this because I got some friends who, people always think I'm like projecting and I'm like secretly talking about myself, but I'm actually not.
You gotta check that shit, like for real, for real. It's nothing wrong with having like a strong sexual nature, you feel me? But don't let it overrun you and dictate your life. That's a sign of your orange zone. Speaking of energies and chakras, your orange chakra is out of balance.
I've met a wide spectrum of individuals, and their relationship with sex varies wildly. Some people I just think are going to cheat forever, regardless of who they're with, because they have some like trauma related to the chase and sex. And then some people are kind of, you know, don't have sex at all. So on the end where you've got that almost sex addiction behavior, I'm just wondering if I guess the question there, the broader question was about how much is the lights going out in the bedroom? Does it relate to people ending up in divorce court?
Well, I remember listening to your conversation with Gad, and him, you asking him flat out, like, so how much of the motivation is sex? Like, and I think his answer was that like a tremendous amount of evolutionary biology is tied to sex. Like a tremendous amount of our motivation is born of sex. It's about sex, food, and not becoming food. That's like our three primary motivators. So I think sex is incredibly important. I also think sex is constantly thrown into our line of sight. So I think you can't discount that. I mean, I think sex is on social media, on like the amount of sex that is put in our face constantly now is shocking. It's shocking.
Constantly, because Uncle Sam done did this intentionally. We have been socially, artificially engineered, on this psychological program on a social level to be like extremely aggressive, extremely over sexualized, and extremely self-centered. Because again, a lot of this that we see out here, it may present or show up or manifest as these issues or different kind of problems that we got to deal with in society, but they all stem from esoteric energetic issues, and this false matrix has most people capped on the lower cells, which is the red, orange, and yellow zone. And that is the reason why it looked like Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty outside. Like everybody is shooting up everything, extremely violent, extremely combative, extremely suicidal. They fucking any and everything, like swipping and swapping. Like it's hella people molesting and raping. And it's a lot of people like that's too focused and self-centered on just themselves, like to say anything or do anything about it, because it has been engineered like this. The trends is what leads to the blueprint and the foundation of the next generation. And if we look at the trends today, we can see where they popped up at, like a couple of years ago. And you look at the trends at that time and see where it popped up at, a couple of years ago prior to that. So yeah, it's bad.
I mean, compare it. Your grandfather has not seen as many breasts in one lifetime as you'd see in one visit to Instagram.
Facts. I know these old people, these older people, like their minds are blown and they have become desensitized to it compared to how it was when social media first started and to allow this, But when it started to be like that, like once upon a time, the world, because it was more taboo to be a certain kind of way, it was only more intimate or more underground. But now a lot of things that should be kept like in private or like more on the under, that's not really for a family that do it out loud on some family shit, but that's the programming.
Like, I mean, there is just so much cleavage going on. You just can't even. So I think fundamentally, like,
man, I know he be looking at OnlyFans.
of course, it's being thrown in our lives. It's like advertising everywhere. It's surrounded. We live in a sex-saturated environment.
How long have you been a divorce lawyer?
25 years.
So since that time, things like OnlyFans have emerged and
Yeah.
pornography's become commonplace.
Yeah.
I imagine at the start of your career, the term pornography
See what I just say? OnlyFans was not there. It wasn't there at all. So now it's there, and you have different platforms like that. Like, there's all kinds of like porn sites. You feel me? But these other platforms, you feel me, is doing like people don't understand that they being bamboozled. They can't see it.
probably wasn't used much in divorce
No,
proceedings.
hardly ever. Hardly ever.
Is it used?
He said hardly ever. Pornography was not a thing for divorce before. Now it is. Let's see what he says.
Now?
It's everywhere now.
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. And there's a lot of unique things that I've watched evolve in my career. The proliferation of revenge porn, the number of people that have concerns about audio, video, photographs of them, because the proliferation of it is also a function of the fact that everyone has a video camera and everyone has a camera, a sophisticated camera in their hand, so there's a tremendous amount of concern about, this person has images of me, photos of me, tremendous amounts of, cheating has gotten much, much easier than it used to be. I mean, the idea of like connecting with a potential sexual partner and also having conversations with people we have absolutely no business having conversations with and having neutral entry points to get into. So like, it used to be like maybe you see the attractive soccer mom at your kid's soccer practice and she's married and you're married. But like if you saddled up next to her and started talking, you're having a conversation with a group full of people. And if you called her on the phone at the house, that would be weird, right? But if you like message her or you add her on Facebook, it's not weird because our kids are on the same soccer thing and maybe there's a Facebook group for the soccer parents. And then she posts a picture of herself when she was on vacation and you say, oh, where did you guys stay? We were thinking about going to Jamaica. And then she says, oh, this. And you go, oh, you know, and suddenly we're having a conversation and it's private. Nobody else is there. We're alone in a room. So I think it's pretty, you know, it's become very conducive to cheating. And it's also become a way for there to be a tremendous amount of evidence of cheating that accidentally lands in the hands of your partner. So like, I can't tell you how many times, like I know he's passed now, Steve Jobs, but like divorce lawyers owe him a tremendous debt of gratitude for the amount of business he sent our way. Because Apple's integration of its devices makes it incredibly common that the text message from your lover comes up on your kid's iPad because you didn't realize you logged into the same Apple ID and it comes up on the iMessage, and now your spouse is looking at the text about how great the sex was yesterday.
Well, damn.
And like I'm not being funny. That's like a once a week thing that
Dude said once a week though.
happens in divorce lawyers' offices. And I know it wasn't intentional. I know he wasn't like, I'm gonna mess up some marriages. But the truth is it, you know, it creates an easier opportunity for people to cheat because people can clandestinely communicate in ways that they used to not, and they have these neutral entry points that lead to something negative. And it's become something where you get caught because there's a tremendous evidentiary trail now. So I think these are all, you know, these are all factors that have made it harder. But again, porn, OnlyFans, like all those kinds of things, these are just more sort of outlets for the same, you know, it's like, you know, there's 1,000 restaurants and there's only one menu, you know, and
Bingo. So that means you have to be exceptional. You have to excel.
and that's all this is it's all the same stuff, just in different permutations. Like a divorce lawyer 50 years ago was dealing with some of the exact same things. It's different technologies, it's different, you know, manifestations of the issue, but it's all just heartbreak. It's all just males and females that tried to make it work and somehow it came apart.
Do you think marriages are good for love? And like, what's your view on marriages? I've been thinking.
I think marriage
I can't wait to give my opinion after this.
and love have very little to do with each other.
Wait, let him cook.
Good for love. And like, what's your view on marriages? I've been thinking.
I think marriage and love have very little to do with each other.
Marriage and love have very little to do with each other. People don't understand that. They think that marriage and love goes together. They confuse marriage for matrimony. I know people don't pay attention to etymology or words or the origin of things, like how they pop up, but marriage is when you get that certificate and it ties you to the state, which ties you to the government, and then they take that certificate bond number and they trade it in stocks. That's what that is. It's tied to UCCs, it's tied to maritime law. That's what marriage is tied to. It was conglomerized when especially when South Africa started to conglomerize the diamond industry, and that's the reason why a lot of people now, on a lot of Western cultures, they symbolize diamonds and rings with marriage because it's all goes together. Matrimony, on the other hand, is more of a spiritual thing. You are creating a contract. You're creating a what do you call it? It's a covenant. It's a covenant. You're creating a pact of how you're going to operate with each other and how you're going to operate as far as moving forward. The purpose of marriage originally is business. They were blending families, you know, to better the position. So a lot of people be confusing the two, and they think that is one thing when it's not that. So it's like you got to know what it is that you're dealing with before you decide to deal with it. But most people are indoctrinated. They're indoctrinated from a false belief system and a false narrative because, again, the older generations gave us a lot of fuckery. And people took that fuckery as face value without ever analyzing it and researching it and looking into it to see what it actually is. So when they put themselves into that position, and their lives get fucked up, and it's not what they thought it was going to be because it never was what you thought it was. It was all a fake facade.
Fine with getting married. My issue is the wedding. I'm not a big fan of weddings. I don't know where this tradition of weddings came from.
Damn,
but
that's deep.
Getting like hundreds of people in a room and doing this whole, the big gap.
Man, it was the business ceremony.
It's the amount of time you have to wait.
But also now the wedding itself, that's different. The weddings are tied more to matrimony. So those ceremonies are rituals because again, it's a contract, it's a covenant. You are merging together as a unit. And a lot of those things come from ancient spiritual practices. People don't know that.
Waiting 3 hours to be fed, the length of it, the fact that it's so stressful, and it causes. Some of my friends I've watched like 12 to 24 months of stress and agony and arguments, but it's like one day.
Yeah.
And I just go, I don't know.
But have you ever been to a wedding that was non-traditional?
Ooh.
And that you
Now you hear what he said? A non-traditional wedding.
go, oh, that's cool.
It was like a party,
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like them.
and they
Yeah, because the Western traditional weddings is not the same thing. It's more off of the artificial system. That's not the way it was supposed to go. But people take it as what it's supposed to be, and oh yeah, they just fuck up.
took all the bullshit out.
Because I have to say something. Like I'm the opposite, which is I don't really believe in the legal institution of marriage. I think it has almost nothing to do with love. I think it's largely performative. I think if people were madly in love, they're madly in love, and they could either marry or not get married, and it's not going to change anything.
Bingo. It has nothing to do with that paper.
Except the legal status of things.
Bingo, the legal status, because it puts you in a different jurisdiction. People need to understand terms, and they need to understand what these words mean and what it means in a legal sense. They don't understand the game that they're playing because they never paid attention to the rules.
But
So fuck
I
weddings then.
love weddings. Oh, I love weddings. I love them. I get misty-eyed at every wedding. My son just got engaged. I can't wait. Like, it's going to be so, because I think there's something so fun about like a big group of people all getting together and having a party over something as noble as two people finding each other in a world of 8 billion people. And like, I think there's something about like a group of people all getting up and going like, we're going to be cheering for you and we're going to be here for you. And like, I love good food, and I love being with people. Like, I think if the first time everybody you love is in one room is your funeral, you're an idiot. Like, I think there's something really beautiful. Like, I have to tell you, I got divorced many years ago, but I have amazing photos of my mom from my wedding. Because it's like, how many times in your life do you put on like a fancy dress and have your hair done and all that stuff? And my mom lost her hair so many times because of chemo and all those other things. And when she passed, like, she was so sick for so many years. And I was so afraid when she died that that's how I would remember her, is in that bed sick. And I have to tell you, I look at those pictures of my mom from that wedding, smiling so big, and with it. And I'm so glad I have those photos. I'm so glad. And I wouldn't have had them if we hadn't had this stupid party.
That's
know.
powerful.
And I remember deliberately saying to the DJ, because I was 22? Yeah, I was 22. I remember saying to the DJ, do not play that stupid chicken dance thing. Do not play that. Like, we're not doing that stupid thing. We're not happening. And I don't know when it happened, but my mom must have like gone to him and been like, play the chicken dance. And he was like, I'm not supposed to play the chicken dance. And she was like, yeah, but you're playing the chicken dance. They played the chicken dance. And I have to tell you something, I will have that memory of my mother with doing that stupid chicken dance in my head until I die. And I'm really glad I have it. Like, I'm really glad it's there. So I have to tell you, like, I think weddings are a blast. And I think if you're in love with somebody and you love them so much that you're like, all right, we're going to do our thing, dude, go have a wedding. Don't get married. Don't get married. Have a wedding. Because getting...
Hey, look, you can have a wedding without getting married. Matrimony is not marriage. It's not the same thing. Matrimony and marriage is not the same thing. Matrimony and marriage is not the same thing. It's 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 not the same thing.
Married and having a wedding, the two don't have anything to do with each other. When have you ever gone to a wedding and at the end of the wedding said, I just need to see the paperwork?
Right.
Could you just show me the marriage license now? I just need to make sure before I give you the gift and before I leave. I just want to make sure everything was notarized properly.
Right.
No, no one. You didn't see wedding. You don't. I never saw my parents' marriage license. They could have made the whole thing up. I don't know.
Man.
But have the party. Have the party. Why not have the party? And don't have somebody.
Because it's a celebration, and on a spiritual level is something that is forming. It's a what is the word? It's not just a ritual, but it is it's like a spiritual ceremony. I can't think of a word right now. It'll come to me hopefully.
Somebody else's party. You just described somebody else's party where you wait for 3 hours. Screw that. Why would you even have the sit-down dinner portion? The past hors d'oeuvres is the best part. So just do that. You can do it however you want. Like, if there's a core message to my book and to my approach to relationships is, you get to do it however you want.
Hey, that's the key when it comes to relationships. You have to know yourself first off. And you have to know what you want and what works for you. And then you have to find somebody who knows themselves and what works for them. And then y'all see if it works together. And then, you know, like if you're doing like a poly thing, you're doing it, you're adding on. If you're not doing that, you know, then it's y'all two and y'all rocking. But regardless, you have to know the dynamics and what everybody wants to do to be able to move forward.
You know what almost all the people in my office have in common? They all tried to do it a particular way that somebody told them that's how they're supposed to
And that shit never works. You don't ever do what anybody else told you to do. It's your life.
do it. And it didn't work. And
Won't
it's got
work.
a terrible track record.
A terrible track record.
Like the way that most people do it fails 56% of the time.
56% of the time, with 25 to 30% being miserable together.
So do it different. You got plenty of room to do it different. And the only two people that are qualified to decide how to do it really are the two of you. Out of
Basically.
8 billion choices, you picked each other, throw whatever party you want to. If your friends love you, they're gonna love that party. And even if they don't love it, they're gonna go like, you know what, that was them. That was very them, you know? It's great.
If you love the Diary of a CEO, Brandon, you watch this channel.
Okay, so y'all go ahead, man. Y'all comment, subscribe. Tell me what y'all think, man. I think this was a good one. I can't wait to hear y'all opinion. And I will catch y'all on the next one.